Everyone, and welcome to another episode of Ask the Attorney. My name is Blair Clark, and I am here tonight with the esteemed Mr. David Sobel. David, how are you doing
You're
this evening?
always so kind. Good. I'm doing great. Happy New
Good.
Year.
Yeah, Happy New Year to you as well.
Yeah.
So, for those who are watching well into the future, it is the kickoff to 2021. It's January 2021. We are looking forward to the new president-elect, and coronavirus is still going on, but hopefully on its way out the door. And we just have had quite the roller coaster for the past, well, at least the past like 10 months here in Michigan. So it's been a wild
Definitely.
ride. Yeah, it's been a wild ride. So tonight we have 6 questions that we're going to plow through, present to David, all related to real estate and finance and contracts, the law around all of those things. But before we jump into the content, David, if you could share with our viewers, how can they get a hold of you if they have to reach out to you about any of those issues themselves?
Well, thanks, Blair. The best way to reach me is 888-789-1715. And you can also go online to provenresource.com and you can look me up online. And if you just type in my name, spelled correctly, David Sobel or Sobel Law, I should pop up. Either on YouTube, we have a really extensive YouTube library, and then we actually just every year around this time we update quite a few of our websites and web forums and everything. So you can go to provenresource.com and you'll see our most recent updated website, which is pretty cool.
All right,
Yeah,
fantastic.
I don't know. You didn't get the email or you didn't get the memo, but starting, I believe, on the 15th of this month, there's going to be, for those people who are watching, do-it-yourself documents, do-it-yourself legal documents that you'll be able to go online and fill in your information without the help of an attorney. The forms will have already been done and reviewed by myself and my colleagues, but purchase agreements, deeds, anything you can think of related to real estate will be online. And for a much reduced fee, you can have access to those forms. They're all blessed by the attorneys, and then if you want to get them generated, then later on you can actually just make a time for a consult. Pretty cool.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Pardon me.
Oh, that's wonderful. That is an answer to a lot of questions that I see posted in the different real estate investing forums, like on Facebook, et cetera. Where can I turn? And people really want to do it themselves.
Right.
So just for the record, I hired David to curate all of my documents for me, a while ago, like in 2018. But a lot of people ask, like, where can I go to generate my own documents? And I don't have anywhere reputable to send them. My advice is always, you need to seek an attorney to draft your documents.
Right.
You draft your own or download something from whatever website.
I know that, you asked how do you contact us, and we're already going on one tangent, right? But it's par for the course with this type of format. But it's interesting, as recently as this afternoon, somebody called me and wanted me to review some documents for him related to a transaction. And he says he already has his buyer, they've already signed it. So the first thing I said, well, why do you need me to review it? He goes, well, the form, actually, it's a form that was given to me by this person who lives in Florida, and they say it's a multi-state form. And I'm like, oh, please, that's the problem. People will engage. I have a late, and I think it was this morning or yesterday, we had a lady who called. She was buying a home for like $280,000. She goes, do I need an attorney to review the paperwork? And I'm like, well, if you're calling me, you must feel that you need an attorney. Actually, quite frankly, that's of course, I'm going to say yes, but I don't say it. It's not being selfish. It's actually being practical. There's two things I do to make a living. I either, protect people. It's prophylactic review of documentation. We audit the paperwork. We review forms. We prepare forms. We draft documents to comport with what the client's looking to accomplish. And if we do that on the front end, they're all happy. And like, I mean, attorneys can't guarantee anything, but it's pretty tied up nicely and neatly so that you don't have a problem later on. The other part of my practice is cleaning up legal vomit every day.
Right.
I'm really good at it. And that's actually, believe it or not, that's a much more lucrative part of our practice. And you know why? It's because we're cleaning up after, we're cleaning up, and they're not stupid people. I like to say we're cleaning up after smart people's messes.
Yeah.
They think they're just too smart. And so what this document, it's really a DIY program, is for smart people who feel that for whatever reason they want to suffer a little bit on their own and lodge through forms that actually, are generated to kind of keep them within a certain legal bounds, but it gives them that satisfaction of being able to do it on their own and not have to pay the cost of a attorney.
Yep, I think you're definitely gonna tap into quite the market with that one. That's gonna meet everybody kind of in the middle where they want to be.
That's exactly what it is.
Too leery to go with the free, but then just the cost of actually hiring it out.
Right.
Well, just in my complete opinion, a $280,000 transaction to me is a pretty big deal, and so I would really need some advice before I move.
What's several $100s to make sure it's done right?
Right.
But that's okay.
Yeah.
I always say, well, we'll see you later. Here's my number. You'll be calling back.
Right.
Usually.
Don't lose my card.
I mean, don't lose my card. I don't want them to have that problem, of course. It's just inevitable the way things are, that it will be problematic. So that's it. So that's how you can find me.
That's how we can find David.
That's how you can find me.
Exactly. All right. So he'll either help you out in a preventative measure, or he'll come in and put his cape on and rescue you from whatever mess life has dealt you at the moment.
Right.
Okay, well, let's get into our first question for the evening, and this is from Disgusted in Davison. And just for the record, all of our questions this evening are coming from Michigan, but David practices in both Michigan and Ohio. But tonight we're focusing on Michigan only. So we have Disgusted in Davison, and Disgusted writes in, I purchased a home about 6 months ago. I replaced the carpeting throughout the home. The carpet contractor told me that the downstairs rooms were actually smaller than what was represented by the seller's agent by about 300 feet. That's a huge difference. Can I sue the seller's agent as I way overpaid on this home? Disgusted in Davison. So what do we say to that one?
I think she meant 300 square feet, number one.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. But,
I was reading over he or she. I was fumbling through a couple of typos that Disgusted had.
So just so you know, Blair, and for the people who are watching, these questions are curated over every month. We go through and sift through all the questions that we either on the internet, we get them through YouTube, we get them through our website. We have different forms that people fill in for questions, and then some of these people call in, and so we just keep track of them all, and every month they sort through them, and we go through the best of what we believe are the best. I don't actually do it. One of the law clerks does it, and then we had about 4 months ago or 5 months ago, one of the clerks started doing these little cute, almost like
pseudonyms.
Pseudonyms, right?
Yeah,
they're very cute. I think that's what gets them through the law clerk through the question.
Yeah, probably.
But so Disgusted in Davison or Davisburg. Okay. Well, first of all, if you're buying a property, a lot of people think that the realtors are liable for any problems that occur in a real estate transaction. While there may be problems that are created by realtors and real estate agents, parties to a transaction almost invariably cannot sue a real estate agent, unless the real estate agent is grossly negligent in their duties and in representing their clients. And you wouldn't really sue the real estate agent, you sue the real estate broker. Right? That's number one. And almost all the closing packages I've seen as of late, and that means the past 10 years or so, will have a general release form in the actual closing package that the parties who are so excited to close on the transaction don't even look at the documents. And one of the documents is usually a general release where you're releasing everybody of any liability, okay, including the real estate agent. So here we have a buyer who's upset and thinks that they're going to sue the seller agent, and that's not going to happen. And I'd like to meet an attorney who'd take that type of case against a seller's agent, unless the seller's agent is grossly negligent or committed some type of fraud. Okay. So with regards to the representation of the square footage, she's saying that they miscalculated. Well, when buyers purchase a piece of property, if it's done through a real estate agent, that means that the description of that property is going to be found on the multi-listing ticket. It's going to be online somewhere. And usually in the fine print, it's usually the last part of the description of the property online, the listing will say, deemed reliable, all information deemed reliable but not guaranteed. I think I've talked about something like this in the past. It feels so like
this is a new one, I think, for us. Yep.
Oh, okay.
The discrepancy.
I feel like I talk about it quite often, so
yeah.
I thought it was here. Maybe it was on another program, but so all the information there will say deemed reliable, or all information deemed reliable but not guaranteed. Okay, so that really basically means we're going to tell you what we know, but we're not going to stand by the information. It's up to the buyer to verify the information. Okay, and square footage is one of those really tough areas that the buyer has the ability to verify through the city. They can look at a construction card. They can have an appraiser who basically takes the information from public record, but an appraiser can measure the rooms. The buyer can measure the rooms. The buyer can have a contractor, measure the rooms to make sure and verify the square footage. So who's really liable for something that's kind of easily ascertainable? It's not going to be the seller's agent, okay? And I bet you the appraiser probably took the information about the square footage when they did the inspection from the township. So if you're really concerned about, am I getting all the square feet that I believe I'm purchasing, go down to the city, and they call them construction cards. And you pull, when the property was the permit to build the home, will be there, and it will tell the end user in the records what the square footage was proposed when it was approved by the planning committee. That's really where you're going to get the best information. So I'm sorry to say, I didn't know if you were disgusted because the carpeting was bad. But 300 square feet is quite a bit, right?
Yeah.
It's several $1,000s, quite a bit. Now, here's the big problem. If you believe you overpaid, this disgusted, when they go to sell the property, guess what? They now know that the square footage is less. So they don't have to, whether they have to disclose that they know it's less than what they purchased, the property at, they just have to put the right square footage down. Because if they don't, now you have an issue where you know that you made a misstatement.
Right.
You just can't leave it for the other buyer, the next buyer to go, oh, okay, go figure it out. Because the seller knew what the real square footage is, so they have to represent it as such. It's pretty interesting, No,
that is interesting. To find the information in Macomb County. So I live and invest in Macomb County, and I'm not sure what county Davidson is in. I know where it is, but
I think it's Oakland County.
Okay. In Macomb County, you can look all of that basic information up on the city's assessor site right online. You just plug in the address. You just go to the city assessor site for whatever city, and you plug in the address, and it shows you that And I believe there's even a few screenshots of the building plans that they have
Right.
on file.
Right.
So that's what I do when I do my due diligence. I just glance at the city assessor site and I see the square footage, and it's available there too. So just as a tip for disgusted in Davison, if you are so disgusted, also due to COVID, maybe your city or township building is closed right now. So maybe they're, just giving them the opportunity. Maybe they can just hop online and find that. But that is interesting though, because that does make a big deal. If I'm thinking of a 1,200 square foot home versus a 1,500, or 1,500 versus 1,800,
Right.
that is a
If you
big
have
deal.
a room that's off by that much, you're going to know it right away. So,
Mm-hmm.
a reasonable person would be able to walk in a room and go, "Wait a minute, this is not a 10, this is not a
Mm-hmm.
10 by 30 or a 10 by 20. You can see it, you can figure it
Right.
out. That's a whole room. So
Mm-hmm.
you can figure out. But when you're adding up, like when it comes to carpeting, you might be missing 5 feet here or 2 feet there. That's what they're kind of saying. In the aggregate,
Mm-hmm.
they've lost square footage. I can see that's much more difficult. I will tell you on an aside, and I don't want to take up too much time, but when it comes to construction cards or pulling the information about the building permit, when I've been a real estate agent or real estate broker as long as I have been practicing law. I got my license in Ohio, and at that time, way, way back, this is before computers and being online, etc. You're supposed to say, "Oh, you don't look that old." Anyways,
Oh, I
but
needed a cue.
one of the things that I did, or we did, was we were learning about construction law, and our professor said, "Well, go down to the county or your township or the city and pull wherever you're living at. I want you to get the information on your construction on the home that you're living in, who built it, all this stuff." And it was an exercise. So I lived in Cleveland for 5 years, and we lived in these much older homes, and the homes were Sears Craftsman homes that were built in the 20s and 30s,
Okay.
and I think, yeah, the 20s. And I went down to pull the construction card. This is as bizarre as it could be. And the person who built my house at that time, we rented a house, had the same name as my mother and her maiden name,
Wow.
which was bizarre.
Uh-huh.
Bizarre.
Yes,
And
it
my
is.
mother did not spell her name. My mom still doesn't spell her name normally. And
Mm-hmm.
this lady had the same spelling.
Wow.
Bizarre.
That
Kind of a
is.
weird story.
That is. Wow.
It should be a Halloween edition. We'll have to come up with a story again next
Right.
October. But yeah, it's a great question, and it's something that you should do your due diligence. And what it really teaches people. I don't know if this person was an end user, like an investor, or a just a primary homeowner, but you can't. I hate to say this. The more and more, I see it, and I've been doing it for so long. You can't rely on anybody if you're not sure. I mean, don't listen to your real estate agent or the
Mm-hmm.
seller. Listen to your attorney, but don't, or your accountant, but don't listen to some of these salespeople if you're really not sure, because there's so many problems that come up. And again, I always say this: if I had $1 for every time I say it, I wouldn't be sitting here right now. I'd be sunning myself in Florida. And that is, there are great real estate professionals out there, salespeople, and just like attorneys, but there's just as many bad ones.
Mm-hmm.
And the bad ones, they're just sales driven. They don't care. They might do 1 or 2 deals a year. They just want a commission. I know that sounds terrible, and I don't want to offend any professional realtor who is very compliant and client focused. Those people they're not included. But so many times people will say, "Well, my realtor told me." Yeah, a couple of weeks ago we had a question. The realtor told them, "Oh, ignore it. Don't do this." What the hell does a realtor know?
Right.
It could be a title issue. Don't rely on the realtor. Rely on the title company. If the title company can't give you the right information, take the information and go to an attorney who's a real estate attorney. I actually had somebody yesterday who has a judgment against them. We're getting it set aside. They went on a real estate matter that they had an issue with the township. I won't say which township. And they hired a criminal attorney to represent them on a on a zoning infraction,
Uh-huh.
which is a real estate issue. It
Right.
relates to real estate. It's just incredible. It's like herding cats all day long,
I'm sure.
constantly trying to keep track of people and putting them on the right, the best, right and true path every day.
Yep.
So, all
I, I
right.
used I used to teach kindergarten, so I feel you.
Oh, yeah. Right. That's easy compared to what you do now, right, Blair?
No, I
No,
like this better.
I didn't say like. I said what's easier.
Oh, it depends. It depends. But one of the things is that I say if I can successfully manage the attention of an
Mm,
entire room full of kindergartners,
yeah.
I can do anything.
Well, there you go.
You know, if you can rein those little kiddos in, 25 of them in all,
Yeah.
for like 5 solid minutes,
Uh,
you can do anything in the world.